So you've bought yourself a Gaggia Classic and everyone's telling you need to start modifying it. Wait, why can't I make coffee with this machine as is? Well, don't worry, we're going to be breaking down why you need some modifications to get the best out of the machine, and then we're going to be looking at 3 popular modifications: the Shades of Coffee Top Box Bundle, GaggiMate Pro and Gaggiuino. At the end, I'm going to be giving you some insights which you might find useful, and along the way we're going to be talking about what makes each modification different. And if you're new here, my name is Billy, and I really like Gaggia Classics. I've been modifying them for a while now, and now I'm just sharing what I like about them most. This is the GaggiMate Pro. This is the Shades of Coffee Top Box Bundle with dimmer switch and pressure gauge. And this is the latest Gaggiuino. Now, a couple of these machines have some interesting modifications which I will pick out along the way in case you might be interested. But let's talk down here for a second about why this stock Gaggia Classic is not actually very good at controlling your coffee variables. Firstly, it's got a boiler inside here which has very poor control over the temperature. It will get to a certain number and then it will turn off, and then when it drops to another number it will turn on. But there's no kind of fine tuning of that, and it will just rock it up and then turn off completely. So you're getting a big swing of temperature at any time when this says it's brew ready. Now, another thing that this doesn't have in its stock form is good pressure. Now, this is set at standard to about 12 bars of pressure, and that's generally too much for modern espresso. So having something that can adjust the pressure is a real bonus when it comes to controlling your espresso. So we do modifications to change these things and give you more control over the variables that affect the way your coffee tastes. So let's get into it, and I'm going to stand up and be somewhere over there, probably with a modified coffee machine and probably with some very nice coffee. So I'll see you there in a second. Okay, I'm going to be using the same coffee for each, which is this washed Kenyan coffee from the Naughty Dog, which is a Czech roaster, I believe. And it sounds very nice, so I'm quite looking forward to today. I'm going to keep puck prep exactly the same. We're going to use the same portafilter, same basket. And what I'll do, I'll pop on a little mount so you can view it from sort of my perspective when we're brewing. Okay, we're going straight into the first shot on the Shades of Coffee Top Box Bundle. I will show you the puck prep I'm using a bit later in this video. Now we're going to start the timer on the scale and the shot at the same time, and then we're going to dim that switch to keep the pressure around 2 bars. I like to keep it there for about 10-11 seconds, and then I ramp it up to 9 bars before slowly tapering off. Now this shot did run a bit quick, which actually turned out really well. It was a very tasty shot indeed, and I stopped it around the sort of 22-second mark. But we still got that rich crema, and I think we'll be able to pull some nice latte out. And for the latte art, we will need to steam some milk, so let's get onto that now. We're going to make this hot for steam now, and I just want to talk a little bit about this. So this has 2 settings. It's got a temperature for brewing, and it's got a temperature for steam. This is the pressure gauge, and you could see me playing with this. This connects directly to the pump, and it changes the amount of electricity powering the pump. Now this is the original steam wand, which is always a bit harder to steam with. So now I don't like having the pitcher touch the steam wand. That's just me. This Shades of Coffee PID comes with an SSR for steaming, which means it will keep you steaming at a good temperature. It won't introduce any more water to replenish the boiler, which means you do eventually run out of steam. But unless you're steaming huge jugs of milk, I'm sure this will be an adequate amount of steam to texturize your milk ready for latte art. That was not the best steaming I've ever done, I'll be honest. If you are struggling with steaming milk on your Gaggia Classic, you're not alone. It is quite difficult because you don't have much movement in the steam wand. I recommend having a slimline drip trace to give yourself a bit more room, and also moving to the single hole steam tip. It just helps you get that bit more control over the direction of the steam, so you can help with that whirlpool. But other things like swirling your milk and pouring out the first little chunk of it before you start pouring your latte art is a good idea. You ideally want your milk to look similar to sort of wet white paint, and then when it actually comes to pouring latte art, you want to go as slowly as possible. I don't listen to my own advice here because I'm just sort of, I don't know, nervous for camera. I go a bit quick, I lose all the definition, But on the whole, it's not too bad. And for a first go on this video, I'll take it. We've spilt it there. I think this setup is good for someone who wants an easy install, and that's because there's so much information provided. Right, on to the next one. I'll magic myself so I'm back on camera. Hello, so this is what I was wearing. It's sort of like Billy's first B cup, but it just makes it so awkward with that there. You can't really see anything you're doing. Just a bit of context. Anyway, let's have some coffee. Oh, for the first shot of that, that's actually exceptionally nice. Let's change this setup. Right, we're gonna. What would you like next? The Gaggiuino or the GaggiMate Pro? Lock in your answer with a thumbs up, because I've definitely not pre-planned what's going to be next anyway, and it's all up to you. In 3, 2, 1. Well, it's the GaggiMate Pro, and if you guessed correctly, that's great. Anywho, GaggiMate starts off with this screen here. It's just the GaggiMate. Nothing starts happening, it doesn't start heating until you tap it. And then you get onto this screen here, which is kind of the user interface. I think it's a very simple user face. It doesn't show you any graphs. At the top, you've got temperature and pressure in the boiler. You've got your chosen profile. This one's just 9-bar espresso, but you've got so many different options. You've got the settings as well, so you can change the time of the shot, the temperature of the shot, and then you can save stuff like that. And yeah, you could just select different profiles. So we've got all kinds of different options for pressure profiling and temperature profiling. We'll talk a little bit about the Gaggiuino install process a bit later, because it is very different. But for this, the install was very quick, very simple, and I only had one trouble with it, which was a small leak, and that was solved with a bit of PTFE tape, which just went around one of the plumbing parts. So what we'll do is we'll do exactly the same. I'm going to pop you back on here, and then we're going to talk a bit more about the machine when you're on my chest. Welcome back to Chest Cam. So like I said at the start, I'm keeping the puck prep exactly the same, using exactly the same basket and pause filter. And I know we'll start with a little paper filter at the bottom of the basket. This stops any fine particles blocking my basket, but also filters out some of the oils which have been shown to put you at a higher risk of developing diabetes because of some of the effects on your cholesterol levels. After that, I'm shaking the grounds in a blind shaker, and then using the pucks tools from Time War to distribute and tamp. Now the GaggiMate Pro is pretty cool in that you're able to use a Bluetooth scale to sync up with the machine, and then it will stop your shots automatically when it hits the target weight output. I think this is really cool, and it's also a feature on GaggiMate Pro. I'm using the Buku Themis Ultra here. I do have the Buku Themis Mini, but I just find the Ultra to be an easier all-round scale. But yeah, let's start the shot and see how it goes. So this one you really don't need to do much for at all. This will keep going with the pre-infusion and then the brew until it's sort of done, I suppose. It's a very hands-off machine. Let me see if I can get you a good shot of that. And then it's done at the time in 30 seconds. That's not bad. Wow. Now this coffee has this red currant note, and it is so much more prominent here. But we're not done there, because we need to do some steaming. So we're going to click this button and the steam will come on here. So it's currently at 146. So let's pop it to 149. And we can see at the top how close we're getting. This bar will get sort of progressively more and more red depending on how hot or cold it is. Look at that. High powered steam. Now, as the Gaggia Classic only has a very small boiler, it is going to take a while to steam milk. I find it takes between 30 and 40 seconds on average, and that's across all three of these mods. Now, you'll be able to hear a sort of pulsating in the background, a sort of noise. That's the boiler introducing small amounts of cold water into the boiler, and that just helps sustain that steam for even longer. The Gaggiuino, I think of the three, is the best at this. They call it Dream Steam, but we'll get onto that a bit later. When it comes to the GaggiMate Pro install, it's sort of a happy medium between Gaggiuino and Shades of Coffee. It does come with an online kind of instruction manual, but it's much more brief than the Shades of Coffee one. I think if you have some experience on knowing your way around the internals of the machine, this would be a good one to go for. The actual process of installing it was very simple, and maybe even more simple than the Shades of Coffee one. But certainly you'll need to know certain parts of the machine, which you can probably pick up a bit of knowledge from online. But yeah, let's pour this latte out and talk a bit more about the machine. Now, I don't really know what came over me here. I did this heart, and then I decided, actually, I'll just do a little bit more. I don't think it looks very good at all. Tell me what you think in the comments. Okay, let me go back to the camera over there so you can see me again. Okay, I'm back over here. This coffee tastes very good. And I hope you got a bit more of an insight about the GaggiMate Pro there. So there's so many different profiles you can pick, and all you need to do is go onto the web UI, which gives you access to all the profiles that people have been making, and you have the option of making it yourself. You can connect your computer to this, to your phone. All in all, it's a very smart bit of kit. Now, did someone ask for a click transition? I bet they did. And I'm gonna make you wait for it. Okay, now I need to, that's actually gonna be really hard because I'm gonna have to stay with the same pose. We'll try again. I don't know if that worked, but if it did, oh, a Gaggiuino, it must have worked. Anyway, bit silly, but good fun. So this is the Gaggiuino. It's at the back here. This thing just sort of slides, and then you have a very fun little slide here, which I quite like, which means you've got access to your water reservoir and you can just flick it back and forth. Now, the Gaggiuino does something which I find quite, I don't know, humanistic. It just sort of has its own mind. When you turn it on, it will sort of go and initiate. It'll go like, drrrr. And then throughout the thing, it will notice when the pressure of the boiler is getting too much, and it'll just drop beats. It'll just drop a little bit of water out and just make sure everything is nice and, I don't know, happy. Make sure, I mean, no one likes being under pressure, and I'm sure the boiler is no different. So it will just sort of drop a little bit of water, and that can be annoying. Sometimes you've got your scale under there. This is luckily a waterproof under high heat scale, and that one's no trouble to get water on. But if you've got a cheaper scale that might not want hot water just dripped on it randomly, that could become annoying. This display here is pretty cool, and I'm going to put you on my chest so you can see that a bit closer. Boom. So this is the user interface for Gaggiuino. You've got all your choice of profiles down here. I've just got a few that are like, hey look, dropping beats. It just does that whenever it wants. Then up here you've got the graph of what it's doing. So we've got a classic profile, we've got the lever 9, which is one of my favorites. We've got the 0, we've got the Londinium, we've got adaptive, we've even got a profile for filter coffee if we want. Now these all have their own temperature, and this will set over here. You've got the pressure on the left in the corner, and you've also got the uptime. So this has only been up for 2 minutes. Now, tank level, it will just show you how much water is in the tank. It does require an additional modification with a little light, but I don't have that in there, so it just tells me it's permanently full, even when it's not that full. I have modified all of my machines with the Shades of Coffee LED light because I think that is the best LED light for the water tanks. So this will also connect to Bluetooth. You can control your shot weight output here. and it will just stop on the way you want. You've got Dream Steam, which what that will do is while you're steaming, it will just constantly activate the pump on and off, and it will go like, and that's just introducing very small amounts of water to top that small boiler up. I think we will do lever 9 because that's interesting. So flick to that. Shows me the pressure in blue here. I'm getting our first drops out there. And it will ramp up right up to 9 bars. I'll show you the shot. Oh, glorious. And then we have the shot there. So 31 seconds for 39.8 grams. Now, the Gaggiuino here will just stop your shot automatically with a connected scale. If you don't have the connected scale, it does have predictive scales as well. So if we were to go on to this, go on to scales and do that, you just force it to do a predictive scale. Now that's going to make it guess based on how much water is coming out, and you can calibrate that really well as well. So it's pretty good. Before I had this Bluetooth scale, I was doing that and it was pretty good. Now there are hardware scales that you could wire into this, but they were a lot of hassle, and personally I didn't think it was worth all the effort. Okay, so now what we can do, we can change this target temperature here with your steam button, and that goes up to 155, which is the hottest and theoretically should give us the best steam. So got my milk here, and it's actually up and running very quickly. You can see here that the temperature is rising. You'll notice that this steam wand is not dripping at all, and that's because it's been modified with a Shades of Coffee brass steam valve. This is serviceable and does not drip, so that's why I've got it. I think this hands down is one of the best mods you can do to any of your machines. We've also got this slimline drip tray, and up here we've got an IMS nanotech shower screen, but we've coupled it with the Shades of Coffee rainfall dispersion plate. You can hear that. That's the water going into the boiler. And is why this is sort of, it's been going on a while now, but there's still strong steam from it. And it will just top up that boiler. So still very strong. Okay. The latte art has not been very good this day. I did a good one this morning, but it's always different on camera, isn't it? I don't know why am I holding it like this? Well, I don't think that's too bad. And that's delicious. So I'm going to pop you off my chest and then we'll have a quick chat. I'm going to take this off because it's honestly quite gross. That felt lovely. I understand the whole bra thing now. So the Gaggiuino, to make it, it's obviously a much different story to the GaggiMate Pro and the Shades of Coffee top box. This required me to learn about wiring. I had to I had to create my own wiring system. I used the old wires that were with the machine because I knew they were up to the right kind of amps, voltage, electricity. I don't really know wires, so I don't know, maybe that gives you some confidence that if I can do this, maybe you can too. I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing, but I did it anyway. My favorite machine of all three, and the one I use the most, is this Gaggiuino. And I think that's just because I like the UI, the user interface. I like the way this looks. I like seeing a graph. It's a very sort of tactile and obvious feedback of what I'm doing. And if it's going wrong, where is it going wrong? Now, the machine I learned the most of was the Shades of Coffee top box bundle. By manually changing the pressure myself, I had a real tangible experience when it came to pressure profiling, and it also taught me so much about the internals of a Gaggia Classic machine. Without doing that mod, I would definitely not feel comfortable doing the Gaggiuino or the GaggiMate Pro. Now, the GaggiMate Pro is kind of like a best of both worlds. You get the pressure profiling, the temperature change and control of the Gaggiuino. It's not quite up there in terms of its algorithm, but it is still very good. And I think if you had it in your own home, you probably wouldn't notice the difference between the two of them in the results in your coffee. But it's got the added benefit of having the instruction and the ease of install as the Shades of Coffee top box bundle. Of the three, I think you could choose anyone and be happy. It just depends on who you are. If you've got no experience, look at the Shades of Coffee one seriously. If you've got loads of experience and you love the user interface of the Gaggiuino, then do that one. If you think you know a bit about the machine but you want something that's a bit less hands-on, go for the GaggiMate Pro. All three of the machines will give you great coffee. If you did enjoy this video, subscribing would give me a lot of motivation to continue making these videos, and it would just help me out, you know. You just sat there watching and it's making me feel good, I'll be honest. So I'm going to enjoy the rest of this coffee and start editing.